than this part right here. That way your fire won't burn up the logs. All right? Now, when these start to burn off, they're going to pencil out. Just like that right there. And what you have to do is push in on the sides and keep these pencils touching, because the heat from each one of these will keep the fire going. And you're going to have a big bed of coals here and about a gap 4 or 5 inches, and your fire is going to be above it. Now what this does is radiates heat straight out to you. If you're sitting behind this, you'll feel no heat at all. If you're sitting to the side, you'll feel very little. But if you sit right in front of it, that's where all the heat's going to come from. And like I said, depending on the size of the logs, if you take a 4-inch log, which is what I use down here, it'll burn just about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes before you have to push them together and slide them out. And you only want them overhanging the front log by about 6 to 8 inches. If you get them out any farther, they'll start to burn out and get long wise, and it'll kind of cool and you won't have as good a fire. But as long as you keep these pencil points pushed together and you keep your log 6 to 8 inches pushed above your main log, your base log, it'll burn a pretty good while. Like I said, the bigger the logs, the longer it'll burn before you have to get out and adjust it, which means you get more sleep time.
That basically just vectoring your heat toward you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're sitting there, you've got your logs this way, and they're penciled out. Your fire's right here. All the heat's radiating straight out. You know, besides what's going straight up. But most of it is coming right toward you. Now, if you cook on one of these, they're super simple to cook on. You just cook off to the side. You can rake coals out, set your skillet right on there. You can hang a pot from it. You can use it like any other fire, with the exception of you don't have to tend it as much. You just take a stick, rake a few coals out, and you're done.
It's called a Siberian log fire.
Siberian log fire. There's all kinds of stuff on YouTube and things on it. If you want to look it up, Survival Russia, he's got a good demonstration of it. About anything you want to see or do, you can find on YouTube. But someone will watch it on YouTube and go, oh yeah, and then they'll put another YouTube out. But they'll forget the fine points of how to make this work if they've never really used it. You've got to know that when these start penciling out, if you don't push them together, you're still going to have fire, but it'll eventually go out. You've got to keep that heat concentrated in that one area. It's really simple. It's a low maintenance, well, as low maintenance as you can get, because in the wintertime, if you think you have enough wood, you need 3 to 4 times more wood than what you've got piled up, because you will burn through a bunch of it. You put that over there so it'll dry.
That's what I was doing with it. Are you on?
Yeah, it needs to be really dry.
Okay.
Okay, now the next fire we're going to do is, it's called a long fire. We've used it a lot in survival training. And people burn up their coats all the time with this kind of fire. All right, well, what you do is you just build a long wood fire with logs. And then on the end of it, it's going to look like this. And they just keep stacking stuff. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You just take logs and you just let them fall in there and burn it. Because you've got a bunch of new troops out there that don't know what they're doing. So you just let them burn lots of wood. Now, with a fire like this, it puts out heat on both sides. You can have 10 or 15 people standing around this thing staying warm. But the main thing is, do not back up to that fire with your heavy coat on and expect to get warm. unzip your coat, turn around, open it up, and feel the heat. All right? I don't know how many times you'd have to put somebody out because it was too cold to unzip their coat, and they would back up to the fire until they burnt their coats up. It happened every class. I don't know why, but if you turn around, unzip your coat, get some warm air in there. Then when you turn around, zip it up, keep the warm air in. But you'll feel like a hot dog on a rotisserie because the only way to stay warm is to keep spinning and to stand by it. But if you have 10 or 20 people and you have plenty of manpower and lots of big wood, that's the fire. Now, the next fire, it's like that one in a way, but it's a lot easier to keep and tend, and you want it one step, or basically 3 feet from the front of your shelter. All right, say you have a lean-to shelter. Just take one small step and build you a long fire. Now what you're going to do is you're going to have a log like this, and you're going to have a stake drove in the ground. You're going to do this on both sides. You got 2 logs, stakes. Okay, now that's to keep these two logs from rolling out as they start to burn down. And because you're going to have another log on top, but you're going to have a stick in here. And your other log is going to set like this with just a little bit of space under it. And this is where you put all of your kindling and smaller wood to get your fire going. And it takes quite a bit of it. And you want these to be really dry. But once you get your fire going in here, it'll burn this log, the bottom of it, and it'll burn the sides out. And you take a 10-inch log, will burn you just about 8 hours. 6 to 8 hours, depends on the type of wood. It's usually about the kind of luck that I have with those. Now, after this all burns down, you're going to have to push these in a little bit because this one's going to settle down and this will burn first. This log will burn up before these two. So when you're done, you're going to have 2 logs that look kind of like that. Well, this will be burnt off too. 2 half moons. You just keep pushing them together and then you can throw another log on there and keep going. But you're not going to be able to do this unless you redo the whole thing again. But like I said, it'll get you through the night. So you take 3 nice logs, a big armload of kindling, and always, I don't care, right now, each and every one of y'all should have a big armload of kindling and small wood put in a dry spot. Right now. The first thing I do when I go to a camp is usually get my kindling together. I've got some in my truck. That's how much I believe in this. Because you get out of a place like this and you want a fire right now, that's the only way you're going to have one. And if you're backpacking in, pick stuff up on the way. It doesn't take a whole lot to get you, get one started and be able to dry smaller stuff out. If you're packing in. But if you're out like this with trucks, get an armload. Get a big bunch of kindling. Cover it up in a bag. Put it in a trash bag. Cover it up with a tarp. Something where you've always got some way to start a fire real quick. Or to scotch one up if you need to. Alright. Now the next one, I've used this. To me, it's kind of a lot of work for what you get out of it, but it does have its place. And what you do, it's a self-feeding upside down fire. All right. So what you do is you start out with your bigger log on the bottom, and then you just get smaller as you get to the top. Then you have all your kindling and little sticks and you build your fire right here. Now what that's going to do is it's just going to burn its way down. And it'll burn its way down, and then you just keep pushing this stuff in on it. Now, another thing you can do with this fire is drive 2 sticks in the ground. And put you some logs up here to make a reflector. The shelter will be over here. Alright. That's where you're sleeping. Here's your fire. Here's your logs. Now, if you set these up too steep, the bottom will burn down, they're going to fall in on top of you. Alright? Kind of defeats the purpose. If you have this laying out this way too far, they won't self-feed in. This one will burn up, the rest of them will just kind of hang there. Which means you're going to have to wake up and tend your fire. You just have to use this a few times, and the angle is going to be different for every size log you use. The smaller the log, the steeper the angle. Okay? But you can get by with 2 or 3 hours this way, smaller logs, and not have to get out of bed to tend it. Especially like when I'm in my lean-to, I keep a long pokey stick. So I could reach out, and if this jams up, I can just poke it, and it'll fall on down. Or I can rake things in with it. These are things that if you watch YouTube, people are not going to tell you. You find these things out by doing this stuff and learning. Okay. So, all I can say is just get out and use them. Try them. You'll figure your own tricks out. Yes, sir?
You called this an upside down self-feed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 2 fires in one. They make a self-feeding fire, and then you have an upside down fire. I just put them together. I don't even know why I did it. It's just one weekend that seemed like the thing to do, so we did it.
I love it.
And it worked.
Yeah.
But my favorite is the short, long fire. You know, it's about 3 or 4 feet long, sitting right in front of your lean-to, about 3 feet away. That seems to put out the most heat. Now, even with the long fire, I forgot to tell y'all this. Okay, here's your lean-to, right here. Here's your long fire. Okay, now, if you drive those same stakes in the ground, well, you got one, this right here you won't have to, you drive a stake here to hold that. If you put these logs up here, everyone says, oh, this is a reflective fire. It's called that, but it's not. It will not reflect heat. These logs will soak up heat, but they're not going to reflect any of it back. It will block the wind. Yes, it will. But it's not going to reflect heat in. What this helps do will create a draft, which comes like this and circulates out, or it circulates up this way. But either way, if it circulates this way and comes up, you're pulling air in here, and it will help create kind of a warm draft. Now, if you do what they call a super shelter, see, back in the late 70s, when I was in Alaska, we were finding all of these, well, they were made out of visqueen, little huts everywhere, all over Alaska, up and down the Alcan. And all these transients, instead of buying tarps and tents, would buy a roll of visqueen. And they would sit there and put that pipe, just a little square between 2 trees, drape that down, cut 4 slits in it where they can get it around the trees, wrap it together or use duct tape. You get in there, sometimes it'll be 80 degrees during the day, and it'll be 30, 40 degrees outside because of the sun. Now, if you take that same visqueen, you drape it over here, all the way down, and it covers the sides, the radiant heat goes through it and is trapped inside.
Use that almost like a greenhouse.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
Except you're putting artificial heat in with your fire.
Will it work with like that tarp? You can see through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're fixing to make a reflective tarp. If you put reflective blankets on this, or those heavy duty survival blankets, so you just make your lean-to out of it, and then put that Visqueen over it, stake it to the ground or tie it down. You have to put a rock or something, or twist it, fold it over, and then tie it so it won't rip out. And then take a log and wrap up in it. And I always roll mine to the inside so I can pick it up and do what I want to do. If you watch YouTube, everybody rolls it on the outside. Makes no sense to me, but like I said, take it with a grain of salt. This, I guarantee, will work. I have used this. Alright? I will not tell you anything on this stuff that I haven't done. That pretty much takes care of the different fire lays that are usable.